Hello and welcome to the RS Fix. My name is Kyle, and today I have my friend Tommy Breedlove with us. Tommy went into the military, was with 82nd Airborne Division, went on to also be with Blackwater for a while, and we're going to talk about exciting things and, stuff along those lines. Tommy, dude, it's awesome having you here, man. It's been, what, year and a half, somewhere like that?
Yeah, since I've seen you, about a year.
It's been a hot minute.
Probably more like a year, I think.
Yeah. So what have you been up to?
Well, I've been working with the woodworking and antler designs. I do antler chandeliers and things like that. But BreedloveDesigns, I have a company here in Ozark, Missouri.
The shameless plug.
Yeah, that's right.
That's awesome. So very cool. How long have you been doing that?
Well, let's see, I guess about 5 years now. Maybe a little bit more.
Awesome. You enjoy then?
Yeah.
Working with your hands?
Yeah.
Getting the artistic flair out there?
It gets lonely. I'm at the house. I got a barn right behind the house. So I'm by myself all the time.
Yeah.
Probably a little bit more than 5 years, I guess.
Was that preferred for you?
It was for a while, but I prefer to be around other veterans, and I'm looking to get back into contracting, I think, right now for a little bit, off and on. So,
right on.
We talked about that earlier.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, so let's just starting off right off the bat. What got you in the military? What made you think about it? When did that first come up?
Well, I was mad at my dad, actually, and he was in Vietnam. He was field artillery in Vietnam. And some of this I'm talking about is I didn't know what all this meant when he was telling me this I went in when I was 21. I didn't know what it was. I just knew airborne. He was airborne. So cool. So I was mad at him for one reason or another. I can't even remember why. So I went to Recruiter and joined the military. And I told him I didn't even know what it was, but I knew the movie Platoon. You seen that?
Yep.
I said, I want to do what those guys do, but I want to be airborne too. So I don't know what drew me to that. The suck, I guess. If you're military, you know what that meant.
Yeah.
But that was it. So I joined the military, and I wanted infantry and I wanted airborne. So, yeah.
Well, it's always amazing, things like that, where you don't even remember the defining moment. Well, it's such a big decision.
It was before 9/11. It was in February of 2000, and I didn't do it for anybody. Didn't do it for everybody. I did it for America, or I did it for me, really. But yeah, so
nice. So what were you like in school?
Horrible.
Bad grades in the works.
It was horrible. I did good when I got back and went, back to college and stuff like that. I made all A's and stuff. Without a girlfriend or a wife, you do pretty good in school. That's a fair statement. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's awesome.
So you got in, you said, so pre 9/11.
Yeah, it's February 2000 is when I went in. I went in when I was 21.
And where were you when 9/11 happened?
I was in motor pool in Fort Bragg, North Carolina. So I'd already been through basic and AIT and 11 hotel school. So you go in as infantry or 11 X-ray. So you can become 11 Bravo, 11 Charlie, 11 Hotel. I was 11 Hotel, which is heavy weapons. The TOW missile system. I think it was tube-launched, optically fired, wire-guided, command-linked missile system, whatever. So I did that. So we practiced on the Mark 19 and 50 cal, and then we went to airborne school. And my first assignment, you have three preferences where you want to go, which I picked like Hawaii and Italy and something else, and I go to Fort Bragg. So I was in the motor pool in Fort Bragg, and we were getting ready to go on DRF-1, which is, I think it was called Deployment Readiness Front, which every certain cycle you go on to DRF-1 randomly, whether there's a war going on or not. And one battalion was coming out and we were coming in. So the trade towers got hit and we were halfway in and they were halfway out. So they decided to push us in like we were going to go first. They ended up sending I think 10th Mountain first or whatever to Afghanistan. But yeah, I was in the motor pool in Fort Bragg. So,
and I'm assuming that pushed you a lot harder in interest in where you're at the time.
It was funny though. I had a lot of animosity to the Army because they didn't send us. They didn't send the paratroopers in to jump into Afghanistan and do all that. I remember I had battalion staff duty, and it was, I want to say that night or the next night, something very like right after the trade towers. They had these maps laid out on a table about this size and all this stuff, and they knew that night, or my recollection was that night or a week later where it came from. And we had drop zones all plotted for Afghanistan. And then they sent 10th Mountain. So we're all ready to go. We're on lockdown. We can't call anywhere. We can't do anything. If we go anywhere, we have to be anywhere we have to be back into the company area within 30 minutes or something like that, something stupid. But, and then I get a persogram saying I'm going to South Korea. You call this number on a little piece of paper, and it's like a robot voice. It says, "You are to report to the Republic of South Korea, blah, blah, blah." What the hell? I felt betrayed or whatever. So I went to South Korea right then. So I went to South Korea, and I spent a year there in 2nd Infantry Division, 1st to 503rd, Delta Company, 11 Hotel, still yet. And was there for a year. So all the way up through my active duty time, which I got out and went back in because I wanted to go to the war. So I ended up joining a guard unit, moving to North Carolina, and I think it was 1st of the 120th Bravo Company. And I think I was on the ground in Iraq within 2 weeks of moving to Charlotte.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So, yep.
What was that like?
Deploying or Charlotte? Both.
Let's talk Charlotte first. You started there, right?
Well, I got married. It was stupid, but I did get married. Mainly, I think for the pay, kind of. You get more of a pay and going over married, and left, went to Iraq with nobody that I knew because it was a guard unit. It was all guys that had been together. Some of them been together for 15 years.
Oh, wow.
And so I was out of my element. And it was the guard and the Army. I remember when I first time I reported to that guard unit, and I didn't think of much of what I was wearing. I was in an Army uniform like anybody else, but I had my EIB and Airborne and Air Assault and all this stuff, and they hated me because of it. Kind of I don't know, it was a jealousy thing or what, but I remember a specialist came to me. He's like, "Hey, what's up, dude?" And I'm a sergeant. And I'm like, who the fuck are you talking to? Who the fuck? And then some E7 pulled me away. He's like, "Hey, man, you can't, this ain't the Army. This is the National Guard." And I'm like, this says U.S. Army on my damn tags here. So it was hard for me in the Guard. I worked with a lot of good guys over there, but it was a different kind of thing in the 82nd and active duty. It was I ended up getting into a good squad and had a good leader, couple leaders above me, and then everybody below me was hardcore. They're ready to go. So, it was good.
What were the other guys like in your squad?
One of my machine gunner, Michael Gallagher, he was in the Gulf in the Marines. He was older than I was. I think I was about 25 when that happened. And he was squared away. This guy used to sit there, listen, or reading a book, the Encyclopedia of Serial Killers. He would read that every night. He had this, I don't know if he was acting out that genre of a person or what it was, but he was a good gunner, and he always chose to carry the 240 over the saw. I mean, patrol, anything, he carried that heavy gun.
Yeah.
But
big guy?
Not really.
Not really?
No.
That's cool.
I had a squared away squad, everybody. Kyle Strickland, Ash, they were all good. Yeah.
Solid.
Squad leader was good. Bravo team leader was good.
Right on. Well, what was next for you after that?
Well, we did a year there. I came home from Iraq, and I was done with the Guard over there, and I went home. I went back to Missouri, where we're at now. And I had heard about a company called Blackwater through a guy that worked at the Pentagon. He was either Secret Service for Clinton, maybe, during that administration, or a part of it. He supported that, did something in that capacity. And he told me about a company, and I applied and went into that. So went through the vetting, did all the deal for that. So 04 is when I went to the war, 05 when I got back, and then 06 I went to Moyock, North Carolina with Blackwater and went through all the vetting stuff for that.
What was that like?
It was pretty good. I mean, it was some of the most detailed vetting, I guess, or training. I never understood the difference between vetting and training, because vetting is like, we want to see what you know, but what they trained us as well in close protection for State Department diplomats. So the compound, I think it was 8,000 acres of everything you needed, from shooting 203 grenade launchers, machine guns, sniper ranges, up to 1,200 known distance type of stuff, and which I didn't do any of that, but they had a mock city set up with Are You Ready High School, like everything, which Eric Prince was the owner of that then. And it gets complicated with that because it's not Blackwater anymore. No, it really isn't. It's not like they didn't change their name to disguise it. It's not Blackwater anymore.
Right.
So people don't understand. It's a whole different deal now.
That name just has an iconic ring to it.
I guess.
So it's either a love or hate. People who want to be around it, and as your take being that, what do you feel? Just hearing the name.
As far as what? Like,
I don't know. Just open-ended.
I don't know. I mean, it was in the beginning. I got there in 06. You get there in 06, and you already felt like you've been through everything you can be through. You already been through war, So, and then you got all these guys all bouncing around like you're some new guy again. And I don't know if it was little guy syndrome with me. I was like, fuck you, motherfucker. New guy, what? Like, I've already been here. What do you... I don't know. It's hard to explain. It took a minute to realize there's shitbags everywhere,
Yeah.
I don't know. But there was a lot of good guys. I worked with a lot of good guys in Blackwater.
As far as the training...
Oh, yeah, the training. Okay.
Ooh.
The training at Moyock wasn't intense. It wasn't like the infantry. It wasn't physically demanding whatsoever. I've already been through the infantry, all that stuff. What you had to do to qualify to be there was nothing. I mean, 1.5 mile run in I don't remember the time frames or what, but just stupid.
Kind of the standards, similar to I assume
they had an agility test. It was stupid. 1.5 mile run. You shot the 249, the 240, shoot these little tombstones, and that was kind of tough. You had to sandbag in your guns because those guns aren't designed to hit the same spot. You had to hit these little tombstones about like that 3 times each, and you had a certain amount of rounds, as I can remember. But the medical stuff and the environment they stuck you in to make you feel what it was like over there was kind of cool. They had, from what I understand, they had like these makeup artists. They had to, because they'd blindfold you and put in these cars. Right, put you in these cars, and you'd sit there, and they'd just put you in there, and these guys would start bullshitting with you like you were just got to Baghdad or whatever. Hey, how's it going? Where you coming? What unit were you in? Blah blah blah. And you're playing a game, whatever, and then boom, like an arty sim goes off, boom, and then it's contact left, and they pull the blindfold off, and the TC, the truck commander, sitting there. and his eyeball's hanging out, and it looked real. His face is all burnt off and stuff, and there's like warm liquid coming out, red liquid coming out of him, and the driver's femoral's just pumping out. And there's somebody else, there's like an OC, observing cadre, looking at you like, what do you do, yelling at you, and you're putting fire down at guys shooting at you from the left. And so you're shooting, then you grab a tourniquet and you put it on the guy, obviously, that's bleeding out. And he's yelling, what do you do about the eye? What are you going to do with his eye? And I'm like, I'm not going to do fucking nothing about his eye. And that's all they wanted to hear, like, okay, you're past, go. So, and then they have you go through a room. It was dark, no light, and someone's screaming. You got to find him and feel the blood going all over your hands, squirting out of them or whatever, and tourniquet them up. But
all in the dark. Yeah.
There's a 203 range, like I said. Qualified with the M4, Glock 19. None of it was super hard, but hard enough, hard enough to weed out the stupid or whatever.
What was the part that drove you nuts in the training aspect? Where the suck fest kicked in?
The clearance, getting the clearance.
Yeah, with
my
the
battle buddy,
SF-86.
so to speak.
Had your clearance expired then at that point?
No, it was that my Army clearance was a DOD secret clearance, and then this is State Department, so it was a different clearance. And I had credit issues. I had kind of bad credit, so my clearance got denied. I had to appeal it and repair my credit. And by this time, my buddies and good buddies were already getting gigs like, hey, you can go to your clearance is done. You can go to Afghanistan. So they went to Afghanistan, which there wasn't. I don't think there was a lot going on in Afghanistan then, as far as what they were doing in Kabul. So it was kind of a blessing for me because I went to Baghdad once it finally went. I went to Baghdad, which was a lot more fun. There was a lot more stuff going on.
Yeah.
Missions were farther out. Enemy were coming at you more, which sounds weird. You wouldn't want that, but it was better. There was more stuff going on, I guess.
Right on. So you started off in Iraq, and what was it like there?
I got there, and I think it was late 06. Like I said, I got there, and nobody talked to you. You're like nobody, Living was good. It was a totally different than the military. I'm coming from the military. I remember getting off the plane there and realizing I step off. I think it was July. of 06. I get off the plane and I'm like, whoa. And the heat hits me. And I'm thinking the jet wash is hitting me from the aircraft. I'm like, no way, it's this hot. I couldn't remember that it had been, but it wasn't. The aircraft was not on. It was hot. And then I would just assume it would have been like the military. I'd get off and get out and it'd be just a bunch of bullshit and red tape and sitting for hours and everything. But when, boom, we're straight off over here, down the stairs, get your passport stamped, and some dudes come up in these vehicles I never, like Mad Max looking, South African Mamba looking stuff, and hand you this vest and this gun. You don't know if zeroed or whatever, and looks all funky, weird forward grip and everything. And hey, here's the route back. We're taking this route back. If something happens at this point, we're coming back here. If something happens at this point, we're keeping going. And look right. You're sitting on the right side of the vehicle. Go.
Straight to it.
It's route Irish all the way back. So.
That's crazy.
Not as you think. No, yeah, it was all right. But, so like I said, you get there and nobody wants to talk to you. They're just like, you're the new guy, or there's a bunch of new guys. At that point, there's a lot of new people coming in there. Get your room and you're doubled up with somebody for your first rotation, which we were doing 90 days on, 30 days off. So this is the first time that I had worked directly with every aspect of any special operations forces or anything. So my roommate was a Green Beret. I won't say his name, but he's not around anymore. Older guy, he was probably 60. 60 years old, just an OG, you know?
Yeah.
And we were doubled up. The power would go out all the time, you know, it'd be hot as hell. But really awesome. A lot of stories with that guy.
Yeah, I bet.
A lot. This guy did a lot, you know. He used to tell me stories, and, you know, when he'd get his ass beat in training and special forces, he would be cutting wire, you know, in training, cutting barbed wire to sneak in somewhere, and they'd beat the shit out of him because he didn't wrap cloth around the wire before he cut it to make it quiet, you know, like crazy stuff. But I wish I could say his name. He was just a warrior, he may have been over 60 years old. But later I learned, this is jumping ahead, but he WPPS, Worldwide Personal Protection Services is what it was. And every once in a while, there'd be some stupid little tiny thing where you didn't qualify anymore. You had to go back to Moorhead, North Carolina, and do like one extra little thing with the saw or something stupid. So you have to go through all of it again, like the 1.5 mile run. And he's like 60-something years old. He drank whiskey and smoked cigarettes all day. So he went back and he didn't make it. He didn't make it through, which doesn't mean nothing.
Right.
Dude, this guy he'd done everything. He'd been everywhere, done anything. He like wrote phases of books for the military. You know, he was like a mentor of mine. But for whatever it's worth, he didn't make it. And then I learned later on that he had died in a taxi cab, got shot in the head in Central America.
Wow.
I don't know if he went back in the military and was doing something, or just down there fucking around and got hit. I don't know. But,
man. How's your relationship with him?
Good. He drank a lot, but
he treated you all right as a new guy?
Baghdad, man. We had a lot of indirect fire all the time, and a lot of guys were partying and doing stuff because it was what they call big boy rules or whatever. There, you could do whatever you want. You could drink, do whatever. And if you fucked up and you were found doing what you're doing, you're done.
Yeah.
But he did his job well. I don't know.
So how long were you the new Pogue there? Like, how long did that last?
Not long. After a while, you start getting, you know, I don't know if it was because of my background with heavy weapons and stuff like that, but they put me, I think I drove for a little bit on the counter assault team. It was best to be on the counter assault team, in my opinion. That you had the close protection teams that rode in Suburbans, armored Suburbans, right? And you're just window lickers. You're in the truck all day long.
Yeah.
And if you're on the counter assault team, you're either in front of 3 Suburbans that are armored or in the back in a Humvee. Then you're either the driver, the truck commander, right rear, left rear, or the turret gunner. And I was a turret gunner, which is a 240 Bravo open the gun. And I went pretty much to that. I think I drove for a minute, and then I was up in the turret. I'm pretty sure. I have a horrible memory. It's odd. But for all my time, pretty much, I was a turret gunner on CAT, counter assault team. And some people like to say there's shit going on all the time. I mean, 99.999% of the time, you're just driving around and literally throwing water bottles at people, vehicles, not just randomly. Some people were bad Blackwater guys, just like there were bad U.S. soldiers that were mean to people too. But if a car, you know, you're coming through a traffic circle in at 6 out at 9 or whatever, and everybody's stopping, you're blowing horns and sirens and telling people to stop with a keef or whatever you're, and there's one vehicle coming through, you throw water bottles at their car, right?
That's random.
Then later on, you had pin flares that were 38 caliber little flashlight looking things where you pull the spring back and let it go. It's a firing pin. It puts a flare out. I never fired one of them. But you had ammo cans around your turret shield. Your turret shields were probably AR-500 steel or something with armor glass on it. And then you had, the metal straps that go around like crates and stuff like that. So you had ammo cans strapped around that filled with water bottles, and you had a shit ton more water bottles inside the vehicle. So when you ran out, guys left and right rear were handing you more. And you're throwing a lot of them in a day, Sometimes you get madder than you should be, and you're throwing them when you shouldn't. But most of the time, I'm not trying to be the saint or whatever. I went through them when I needed to. So it'd be 16 vehicles that just fucking, boom, they stop. All right, cool. But there's one just weaving through, coming through, and you're like, what the fuck are you doing? And sometimes I wouldn't even throw it at them because I could look at them and they just had their head up their ass. It was just stupid. You can tell the demeanor in the car if you look hard enough. But if they're weird and they're acting funny or whatever, I throw a water bottle, break the windshield, knock the mirror off the side of the car or whatever. And you got real good at that. And I was good at that because I shot right-handed rifle.
I was just getting ready to ask that.
I was a left-handed thrower. So you got your 240 out in front of you just sitting there. You're holding your rifle. I had an M4 with the 203, and I could grab water bottles and just chuck them,
Yeah.
And after a while, you got pretty good. I could put them in the sunroof. I mean, we could put them wherever you wanted them. You miss a lot, too. And when you miss, that was it's funny, but it wasn't. Sometimes they wouldn't explode, and they would just slide for days across the road, and hit somebody in the ankle or, something. But the water bottle, we could talk all day about the water bottles.
We got all day.
You're talking about a 1 pound projectile, and, if you're going 60 miles an hour, 50 miles an hour in a Humvee, and someone's coming, right at you, and you add them speeds and then add your throw to it.
Yeah.
It's like a hand grenade.
Yeah.
Throwing them at them. And I don't know if it was just how dumb some of these people were. I'm not saying because they're Iraqi or Muslim or whatever, because I'm never throwing water bottles at Americans, but sometimes they were just dumb. You couldn't see their face. They were too far away, and you just had to throw it. And sometimes it was borderline deadly, the velocity of it by the time it got there or whatever, or where you're on a bridge and some car just kept coming, you throw it, and they swerve. And there's a motorcycle doing the same thing on their left, and they get hit, and motorcycles and Tigris,
Yeah, that's crazy.
So a lot of stuff happened like that where you didn't have any control over it, but I don't know. There could be a whole movie made about the water bottles. I'm going to tell you.
I'd be interested in checking that out. I'm sure there's a lot. What about most people have music in their life. You into music?
Yeah.
Musician? Anything? Play anything?
I play guitar. Yeah, I played lead guitar in Baghdad.
Did you really?
Yeah, we had a band in Baghdad. I wanted to name the band. We never named the band. I wanted to name it the Young Republicans, but we never did name it. There were four of us. Nick Dillon and Josh Hernandez and Pete. Pete was lead guitar too. And we had a couple backup guitar guys. There's no reason that I don't remember the name. I just have a terrible memory. I mean, it wasn't that they weren't around much or whatever. I'm just horrible. So we played at different bars. We played at the CIA bar and the FBI bar. There's different bars they had there at the time. We played at this different embassy, Swedish embassy, and American embassy, and places. We
kind of paid gigs.
No. We kind of rat fucked the chapel. We didn't steal anything, but we played there. We played some pretty crazy stuff there, heavy metal stuff. And then we, I don't know what genre we stuck to. We played all kinds of different music. We weren't like awesome or nothing. Josh was the singer, and he's the one who heard that I played guitar and wanted, hey, play with us. And I was on CAT, Counter Assault Team, and Josh was on, I think, Low Pro, where they traveled around in BMW 745Is, like Low Pro, trying not to be seen. And I don't know if Nick was on low pro or if he was on a high profile team with the Suburbans or what. But and Pete was on Blackwater Air. He was an aerial door gunner, and so he would play lead when I wasn't on leave, and I would play lead when I was there. And this is the way I remember it. It was fun. It was really fun. But now, see, Josh is dead. Nick's dead. And I saw Pete at Nick's funeral not too long ago. But Josh died in Baghdad. I don't know why. I don't know how he died, really. He had an aneurysm or something from shrapnel. I can't really get the story right, but that's a long story.
Yeah.
And Nick was really close to Josh. So I went down to Texas recently for Nick's funeral. Not sure what happened there, if he was having too much fun or what.
Always hate hearing that, man. It seems like a...
But they were both, they were warriors, Nick and Josh. I went with Josh one time later on when I was on Blackwater Air. He was with us for some reason, and we went to Ur, or the lost city of Ur. It's like where the first form of writing was, cuneiform
Where's it even at?
Writing in Iraq.
Really?
And we flew out there and took some people out there to look at that. So it's the first civilization ever or something like that. And there was stuff everywhere laying out there. You could see it all around you, pottery and things from, I think, somewhere around 6,000 years ago. We took some archaeologists out there and some FBI people or something. But I know more. I mean,
yeah.
But yeah, that was that's the last mission I did with him. But I didn't figure out he had died until 2 years after. Just doing our own things. I didn't know.
Yeah.
But
well, with the music, you said heavy metal. Is that you still bounce around quite a bit? Yeah. What do you listen to? What was your fix? What was your muse?
It's funny. I listen to like Blink-182 and Angels and Airwaves, and I like.
It's a little different for the
Disturbed. I like everything really, but country not too much.
Yeah. Is Angels and Airwaves and Blink, is that stuff you listen to while you're over?
Yeah, pretty much. It's kind of funny, but
yeah, no, it's not the typical, but no, it's good stuff. I definitely had my phase of really enjoying both of those projects.
It's funny, those guys that sing that stuff probably wouldn't like me, I don't know if they're liberal or what, but...
Is it, you into the alien stuff? Is it Tom DeLonge that went on like crazy alien stuff?
I think. No, I'm not into that.
No?
I'm a Christian.
You think there's other life out there?
No.
A second world?
No.
No?
I don't think so.
I often wonder.
You do?
Yeah, I think there's a point where I want to see that there's like maybe 7 or 8 other worlds out there.
I want to believe that stuff, but I'm a Christian, and I think God made it all for us to show how big He is. There's, as far as we can see, as much as we learn, as far as we look, there's nothing else. It's just us.
Fair enough.
Just to prove, I don't know.
So if you see a UFO story, does that interest you at all to read it, or is it just...
It does interest me. It does. It's not like I'm still curious,
Right.
Whatever. But
have you looked into his stuff on it at all?
A little bit, yeah.
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 Yeah, it's something Nat, which Nat.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was real big into it.
I watched stuff the other night, I think, about stuff like that, and just I watch a lot of stuff like I'm big into documentaries about ancient history and all them people, how they look to the stars for all that crap. But
yeah,
I don't think there's nothing there. There's one God. That's it. It's all for us right here. That's it.
Yeah. Well, I'm with you on that. Hobbies, anything? While you're in versus now, anything changed, different? What'd you do to pass the time? You guys like play the rock toss game? I hear that's popular with the locals.
What is it?
Well, I don't know. Something about rock toss, so you can throw a big rock the furthest.
No.
Maybe not in your areas.
No. Afghanistan, they played with a dead animal. Kind of like you do polo. They play with a dead animal. But for me, shoot. I mean, I play guitar some. I used to shoot a lot. I get just sick of that. But I don't know. I don't have many hobbies, really.
Yeah.
I hunt. Bow hunt.
What animals?
Deer. Turkey.
You bow hunt turkey?
Yeah.
Is that pretty challenging?
Yeah, it is. Not as much as... Yeah, I guess it's pretty challenging. I don't know.
I was at a blind once with my dad growing up and watched him hit a turkey with one, and I just remember it being pretty crazy, and what seemed like it was a pretty good distance too. I don't remember, maybe 22 yards, something like that, but it was, I don't know, it was just cool.
Maybe 5 or 6 years ago, out the back of my house, and I'll lead into this. There's the hunting industry, and there's hunting. If you really want to kill an animal or put food on the table or kill a turkey, it's easy. Grab a 308, but you can't. It's not legal or whatever. But I was coming out of my house and I saw it was turkey season, and I saw some turkeys crossing left to right out the back of my house. I got 3 acres. It's kind of a rural area. I think I was going to McDonald's to get some food or something. My bow's in my truck, so I come out my house. I go through my garage so they don't see me, go into my truck on the driver's side and grab my bow and go around my barn and sit down and range a tree. The farthest tree that I have it was 63 yards, and here comes these toms, male turkeys across the way. And usually you don't have time. When a turkey sees you need to be in a blind or something. And I had nothing I can do, so I'm just like, I just pull back. And when I pull back, I see I have a field point instead of a broadhead on the arrow that I grabbed. I'm like, shit. And I pull back, aim at him, put my 60 pin on him, just barely come up a little high, and spit it off. Boom. It's the only turkey I ever hit that dropped, didn't flap a wing with a field point.
Yeah, what distance? Around 60?
63.
That's
60,
crazy.
something like that. And then the next day I shot one at 55. I was burnt out on turkey hunt.
That ended it?
Mm-hmm.
I had years of trying, and just like one thing or another went wrong. I remember one year having a tom heading right at me, and I had a Browning A5 shotgun. That was my grandpa's. Tried to run the trigger, didn't work. Checked the safety again. I had turned it off. Tried to pull the trigger again, didn't work. Browning A5. So it's an old auto. Really weird action. You take the barrel and press it against the ground as you're running the action. The whole shotgun pumps into it.
See, I don't know much about a lot of guns like you do.
It's an old classic one. It's interesting. It was my grandma's wedding present to my grandpa about 72, 73 years. I'll show it to you after this. I've got it here. But it's Belgian made, so it's just kind of cool. And obviously the story behind it. He actually had it stolen too and recovered.
Everyone always assumes I know about a bunch of guns. I don't.
What's your jam when it comes to guns? What do you like?
Like military or anything?
Whatever, yeah. What's
Mark 19?
Mark 19?
Yeah. We're at 11 hotels. You're either a Mark 19 gunner and a tow gunner, a tow missile gunner, or a 50 gunner and a tow gunner. I was in the 82nd. I was pretty much a Mark 19 gunner and a 50 gunner. I got Top Gun in Camp Lejeune. We drove to Camp Lejeune and shot the Mark 19, 50. I think it was against the Marine equivalent to an 11 hotel, whatever that is. And I like Mark 19. It's almost a precision weapon if you can shoot it right. Using the T&E and learning how to work it from a turret and from the Humvee. I mean, I like it. The bigger the gun, I like.
Seeing something recently regarding mounts for those where kind of like have you seen the camera mounts where they can run and they don't shake and it's just like hanging out?
On a gimbal type of thing?
Yeah, basically like gimbal style mounts for the 50s.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. Like rolling, trekking through the desert, all the crazy bumps and everything, and that thing's just hover mode.
And I remember, shooting the 50 mark on the traversing an elevation unit. And, you pull it down and to the left because there's play in it.
Yeah.
When you lock it down, there's a little bit of play in it. You pull it down to the left, and the harder you do it, the better you get at it. And you do your elevation and left and right. And then once you have it on it, you can just let it go. I remember down in the Camp Lejeune on the Mark 19, I'd have it. The first target, you're sitting there for hours waiting, just typically in the Army. And some general comes out and blows an artery sim, and okay, you're ready to go. Then you didn't have to aim. You're already dialed in. You've already done all your shit. And then you could literally just push it down the left and look behind you and just and put them through windows at like 900 yards.
That's crazy.
But I like the Mark 19, but you can't have the Mark 19 without the 50. It doesn't go through anything. I shot through HESCOs in Iraq. I remember trying to see what it could get through. Shooting HEDP through HESCOs, and you can't get...
What are HESCOs?
HESCO barrier. It's just a hog wire with pretty much paper in it filled with dirt. You'll never get through it. You have
any issues running that gun?
The Mark 19?
Yeah.
I have issues with other people running that gun. I went on leave in the Army, and I guess they got in contact, and someone was on a Mark 19 and said it was broke. It was done. When I got back, hey, you know how to fix this? And I was like, I knew it wasn't broke. I was like, it ain't broke. They didn't realize you charge it once, and you have to pull the trigger. And just, and then nothing happens. You got to charge it again.
Right.
And go. That was it.
I'm not positive if I remember this correct. I worked on the HK's GMG, which is their equivalent of the Mark 19, and I'm pretty sure they have the option where you can run the trigger again.
I don't know what that is. I'm not sure.
It's HK's Heckler and Koch. It's their version of the Mark 19, basically. So
Heckler and Koch, is that how you say it?
Heckler and Koch, not the other
Heckler
way.
and Koch.
yeah, Heckler and Koch.
I actually trained with a Heckler and Koch, I guess. Before I went to Blackwater, I didn't have a Glock, and trained with what was it? What's some of the model pistols?
USP, P2000.
Yeah, USP.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like them.
That guy right there.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
It wasn't threaded like that, but
yeah, I think that's a 45 tactical.
I think the best pistol ever is that ugly one right there.
The G-Lock.
Mm-hmm.
Glock, 19 or 17?
19. Well, I mean, 17 is probably more. I'm just used to that.
The 19.
Grabbing that 19, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure, the 17's better because it's longer barrel and everything, but...
Man, those, I'm sure sales is down like crazy. It seems like everybody's just talking about 19 anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And of course, I got the new slim ones and everything, like the 43X and the 48. It's like a slim down version.
You seen the folded shits?
Yeah.
I saw that on, Demolition Ranch?
Yeah.
Yeah. He does all that. That guy's awesome. But, yeah.
Yep.
But we carried the Glock 19, the M4, Colt, full auto. I never switched to full auto in combat, ever.
How'd that rifle run for you?
Great. I mean, I never had, we were never in like sustained. I was never in like sustained, like where you could put a gun to the limits, you know? That's what I always hear. Everybody's like, I like the AK better than the M4. I'm like, I don't know why the fuck you do. I guess if you're running like burning barrels up or shooting for long periods of time, maybe the AK is better, but I like the M4.
Yeah. Yeah, I turned into an AK guy for quite a while and dabbled into it and was convinced it was going to become a new primary. And then I picked up an AR again and wised up. I like this system a lot better. I respect the heck out of the AK, but...
I haven't shot it a lot. I started shooting some of it when I went from Blackwater. I went from Iraq. I was in Baghdad with the counter assault team. I was coming back from a mission one day, and my truck commander was like, "Hey, we're going to go do the air quals to get on air." I'm like, I don't want to go to air because they look like they never talked to us. They were weird. They flew around the blue Little Birds and the blue Bell 412s and stuff. I didn't care about it. I wanted to be on the ground. I don't like helicopters. They're supposed to crash all the time. But
yeah.
I wasn't really scared of it, but I just, whatever. I want to be on the ground. I'm used to it. I'm like, fuck it. All right, we went. And I get there, and the head guy, I won't say his name, but He's reading off all these names of people that are supposed to be there, and he gets to me. He's like, "Who the fuck are you?" I'm like, "Tommy Breedlove." He's like, "What the fuck are you doing here?" I was like, "I don't know," and I fucking just said, "All right, I'm gone. I'm leaving. I'll walk back." It wasn't very far, and I'm like, "Oh fuck it, you're gonna do the qual, all right." So we did the qual. It was a little tougher than like the regular State Department qual or whatever for Blackwater, and I'm not the best shot all the time. I'm not the best shot. But that day I shot really fucking good. I shot good. I shot like perfect. I did all my shit where you're shooting. You sit on a fucking picnic table and you're shooting, and then when your mag runs out, you don't drop it. They gotta see that you're gonna put it behind your back and not let it fly off the aircraft, and you're shooting these little circles. I wasn't even hitting the fucking circle. I was just aiming right at it. So I was hitting below it because I had an ACOG on. So I was hitting down here, but they were all touching. And you do these like OSB board sitting up, and you got one round in each mag, and you're like, boom, and then you reload behind cover, and boom, out the other side. But I shot really good. So I went on leave. This is a big story. I went on leave, or long story. And a buddy of mine called me. I was back home, acting like an idiot, spending money like a idiot. I remember I was driving. It was January. It was cold as fuck. And he called me, and I saw it was my buddy in Baghdad. So I pulled into Bass Pro parking lot in Springfield, and he's freaking crying and stuff. I'm like, and this is like big old fucking dude, like not like that at all. My truck commander for Cat, and we were on Fast Cat at the time. We went from Cat, and then we made a special unit called Fast Cat, where we got to travel the city alone. You had Tactical Support Team, TST, they were the ones that were the most alone at the time. They would hang out in neighborhoods strategically located in between a few teams that were spread out. Ministry of Interior, Ministry of Oil, Ministry of Finance, or whatever. So they had a lot of freedom, but they were in these big South African Mambas and the Blackwater Grizzly vehicle and things like that. And we made this Fast Cat, so where it was 2 Humvees and an ERV, like an evac with a medical platform in it. Excuse me. So a lead and a trail Humvee and a up armored Suburban in the middle with a really good medic and some shooters as well. So 5 in each Humvee. So we got to run the streets. We'd be anywhere we wanted. We wouldn't even stay stationary. We just kind of bounce around wherever we wanted, just having fun throughout the red zone, not doing stupid shit, just, staying within distance where we can get to any team if something happens. And he called me after I went on leave. After I did the air qual, went on leave, and he said, "Hey," and he's just bawling. I'm like, "What the fuck is wrong with this guy?" And that's January 23rd. We lost a little bird, and I hate that I miss it. It sucks, because at my gunning position, somebody else is gunning in my truck, and they go out and they're fighting their way through the city to find a down little bird we had down. Nobody could find it because it didn't smoke, and it went down between big buildings on a little building, and just no one could find it, from what he says. There's actually some footage on YouTube. I have to tell you how to find it. But
send that to me. Let's see if we can throw that in this.
Yeah. And I can see my buddies on my truck, 2-4 Golf there, and it's being filmed from a Striker military. So we're fighting alongside, they're fighting along U.S. Army infantry guys, and you can see the grenades coming down from the building and blowing up too soon on the way down from a apartment building or whatever, and my truck commander walking around crazy, and one of my good buddies keep dragging him over and getting him behind cover again. But he called me after all that. So we lost a little bird, and then we lost a good guy, a gunner on a little bird. He got shot while gunning from the side, and he dangled from his lanyard, and they pulled him in. But so we lost 5 guys that day. But what's good, though, is the gunner that was in my spot coming down the road, good driver, which I had a engagement when that driver ended up being my truck commander later on. He was smart. He was driving down the road, heading to try to find this aircraft into fire, whatever. And someone tossed 2 hand grenades into the road, and they're rolling across the road like, left to right, or right to left, say left to right. And instead of like seeing that, and your first reaction is to swerve away from the grenades, he saw the velocity of the grenades rolling across the ground. He swerved this way, so it only blew out the tires on the other side. And blew out, so they rolled under the vehicle and blew out that side. And I don't know how long they stayed in the fight there, but they had to go back to the checkpoint, so-and-so. And there was another CAT team vehicle there waiting to go. Like, all right, where we need to go? Where we need to go? And they're like, fuck you, get out of your truck. We're taking your truck. They took their truck, cross-loaded whatever they needed out, and went back out in the fight. And I don't know if the gunner got these guys then or before the grenade hit the tires. But he saw the gunner or driver or somebody saw one of the passengers of the aircraft being dragged across the street, nearly naked, by the insurgents there, and got him, or mowed into him. And he was shooting at guys that are... I've heard stories from TST was out there too, tactical support team with Blackwater as well. Another real good guy, big motherfucker, big dude. His mount got shot. They had two turrets on these big money truck looking armored vehicles, and I guess the mount got shot or got broke or somehow or another. I think it got shot, so he couldn't fire the 240 on the mount. This dude was so big, jacked. I mean, I'm talking about 200 round belt hanging off or still laying in the drum or whatever, or in the ammo can, and he's just shoulder firing this like an M4. I mean, just a jack dude, and hitting guys in the knees and poking up the hiding buildings and stuff like that. But my replacement gunner, which he was a truck commander, real good dude, real big, squared away Marine. He ended up getting those guys that drug him across the street, and they recovered everybody, but missed all that just because I was on leave, a normal planned leave.
Yeah.
And I had a shooting before that leave. I don't remember what month it was. But it was with that same truck commander. Then, like I said, my memory is fucking horrible. I can tell you about that if you want to hear about it.
Sure.
But I'll be backtracking, I guess. So, we were talking about, okay. January 23rd is a date any Blackwater guy is going to know exactly what we're talking about, but most civilians or anybody else wouldn't know. Backtracking, 07. Backtracking a little bit. So before I went on leave, and I missed the January 23rd attack on the Blackwater Little Birds. We lost 4 amazing guys. There's 2 pilots that work for Blackwater. I won't say their names, but they were brothers. One of them died that day, and everybody on that aircraft, and a gunner from another, the sister bird that was helping them out. A lot of amazing soldiers. I don't know what unit they were in the Army, but guarantee you they were infantry and strikers, among other things. There's some YouTube footage of guys shooting Barretts from inside buildings and just blowing up dust, and they fought right alongside. It was a long battle, probably 3.5, 4 hours or more. If you can find that footage, it'd be good to tie into this. But going back before I went on leave I hate this, it's not about me, but it's my story, I guess.
Yeah.
before January 2, before I went on leave, and that I was involved in an incident. Good friend of mine was driving, best driver, best ranger I've ever known. Best guys I've ever worked with were rangers. Even though I've gotten fights with some of them about me being 82nd Airborne and where they sent their week was the 82nd, and we about fought one day. A good friend of mine, Josh, on air, he said, you know where we send our guys that don't make it in the Rangers? And I was like, where? He's like, back to the 82nd. I said, you know what we did with him, right? He's like, what? We made them fucking soldiers. And he called me out to the desert, and I stood up and let's go. And we worked it out before fighting. But my buddy Jared was driving. Chuck was the truck commander. I was gunning like usual. Running through Baghdad. We had little points on the map. An intersection would be called gray so-and-so, or a venue would be called this color, another number, whatever. And we get to gray so-and-so, and man, I had a funny feeling. Everybody says I get this feeling and shit, and I'm always like, what the fuck ever. Nobody gets no damn feeling or nothing. But I did. This fucking car was, he had a sunroof too, because I was up in the turret and I could see down. We're in traffic. Now, Baghdad's, it's not like we're keeping every vehicle far away from us and shooting everybody and we've got to be in the mix of vehicles. We can't just be hitting every vehicle, even though we had a lot more lenience in what we were doing than the common Army guy or whatever. This vehicle just kept, what felt like to me was harassing us. And so we're in a Humvee. I think we were running Light Cat that day. There's Light Cat and Heavy Cat. Heavy Cat, it's a Humvee in front and a Humvee in the rear of 3 vehicles in the middle holding somebody and a bunch of shooters and people. I want to say we were running Heavy Cat. So I was in the rear, which normally you have your main gun, your 240 facing to the 6. And back then, it ain't automated turrets where you hit a button and the turret moves. You're using your ass to move it around. And you learn how to do that, especially when you're a little guy. I had rips all in my 5'11" pants from moving it with my butt, as little as I am, and using the turn of the traffic circle to unhook it and get it to turn when I needed it to. But this vehicle's fucking with us. And finally, Jared seemed like had enough, and I'm throwing I'm taking water bottles out of the ammo cans, holding my M4 with the 203 up here, and tossing water bottles, I'm not just shooting people that I think, it's not like that. It's not what people think Blackwater is. I'm just going to shoot somebody that I think they're something. A lot of guys have their head up their ass. They just do. And American or not. But I'm throwing water bottles down. I'm going right through the sunroof, hitting him in the legs, hitting him in the shoulders. And he's still just staying right with us and pushing us over. We're coming right into a traffic circle. So this circle here is the traffic circle. We're coming in. Coming into the traffic circle in at 6 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 9 o'clock, in at 6, out at 12.
Yeah.
And just before we get in the traffic circle, Jared had enough and he turns into the vehicle, and I can see the vehicle just crushing. Glass breaking, Humvee, what seems like is going over the hood of the car. The guy's like this, not even hands on the steering wheel because I'm hitting so many times with water bottles. And he holds us up just enough to where the motorcade that we're protecting is farther away from that we'd like. And that's about the time I start saying, you're talking about, like I said, 99.999 of the missions, you're just running through the motions. You could probably close your eyes and look like you're looking around and nothing's going to happen as long as you stay alert, and if enemy's looking, nothing's going to happen. But that day I didn't think that. they hold us up just enough. We're in at 6, go around the traffic circle, start to come in. And I start to look to the 9 and look to the 6, and it wasn't a very high building. It was a funny story because it was probably 15 to 25 meters, I'd say. So I'd say it was 3 stories where he was at. I know he was on the top floor. And it was kind of a building where there's no windows. It's just a dark hole, a big, tall, dark window where if you're standing in the window, your head's nowhere near the top of the window.
Right.
And there's a fucking Apache hovering over this building. Loud enough to where it's loud. I mean, I got Peltors on. It's just... And I can see the pilots. I guess they're both pilots in the Apache. I don't fucking know. But I can see them. I can see them with their glasses. I can see them, and they're in the helicopter, and I turn. Not the turret, but I turn. I'm holding my M4, and I turn around to the 6 coming through an intersection. I'm looking at that building, and I start seeing muzzle flash out the building. I don't think I heard anything, but I just see a flash really high in the window, abnormally high in the window. And I'm not going to lie, I'm pretty sure I almost dropped my rifle outside the turret shield.
Wow.
And just barely got it back. I wasn't getting hit. The truck wasn't getting hit. But I know the concrete behind me was getting hit. Because I was getting hit in the neck underneath my helmet and stuff with pieces of something, not bullets. But something enough to know something was going on. And I finally get my rifle and turn around, and I remember firing 2 shots. I remember because my ACOG was broken. It was always broken. There's a little plastic tube on top with a yellow, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, fiber optic. Yeah.
Inside of it that draws light in, and it never did draw light. And it was broken at some point in that yellow where it was just a black triangle. And we had the cheap ones, 2 power. Is it 2 power?
4. Unless sure? They make it 2. They may make it. I don't know. I just know the 4 powers is their main one.
Anyway, there was nothing in it, in those ACOGs, but the triangle. There wasn't a line underneath it or a vertical line or anything. It was just the triangle. I love ACOGs, but it was the cheaper one. And it was black. So when you're aiming that in the black window, sometimes it'll turn a little gray or reddish. But I remember firing, boom, boom, scared. And I remember seeing the left side of the window on the concrete, I missed twice. And I always carried 28 rounds in my mag.
As you should.
No, not out of not. I just was told that. I never knew any truth to it, but I did that. And I'll get to why I'm saying that. But I shot those 2 rounds and missed. And I remember it was kind of like slow motion. It was just like... I could see these, and I just remember thinking in my head, why is that so high in the window? It was at the very top of this window. It was like an 8-foot fucking window, like a big, huge, I don't know how to explain it. It'd be like seeing the muzzle flash on the rooftop.
Right.
And I just was shooting right into the flash, putting the top of my triangle into that. And I wouldn't know this, but I shot 7 more rounds. And we were running a gauntlet. We were in at 6, out at 9, running straight out. And the building's here. So I wasn't completely smart in that whole deal because I stopped firing after 9 complete rounds once I counted, 28 minus, whatever I shot. And never transitioned to 40, to the 240. And Chuck never let me live it down. I talked to him fairly recently, and he's like, why didn't you go to the 240? Whatever. But the fire stopped. And, of course, I'm yelling out. They didn't even know I was shooting in the vehicle.
Wow.
I don't know how, but I'm yelling out, contact, 6 o'clock, and firing. And we go down this what seems forever, and Jared is the best driver. And what I mean by this is not like some kind of NASCAR fucking crazy driver. I mean a driver that's getting shot at and knows he's getting shot at some point in there and knows I'm firing back you're standing in a vehicle shooting from a moving platform, and instead of him trying to subconsciously not get shot by like doing some crazy shit or going into cross traffic or whatever, or cutting down a road and not following the motorcade, he slowly lets off the gas and he just
float mode,
floats straight to make sure that I'm getting a good shooting platform. And the shooting stops. I remember just still looking up and aiming at him and not firing anymore for some reason. I don't know why I did that. But then we finally made a left. And at the same time, Chuck's probably calling in to so-and-so base, saying contact, who we are, where we're at, linking back up, and, you know, the motorcade and lead cat, if they were there, I can't remember. You know, what's happened. They can hear it all. So we stop, reconsolidate, reorganize. I'm literally just coming to, and nobody's a fucking bad. I'm like checking my helmet. I don't know if I'm hitting the lungs even, you know. I'm just like, okay, adrenaline in my head. I've got some scratches on my face from the concrete. He was shooting behind me and hitting the Humvee, hitting the concrete behind me and spitting up asphalt or whatever it was. And I think it was before we even got back to base. And this is heading out, I don't know the cardinal direction, but where we would be heading out to Route Pluto. And then heading right at some point and circling back over the Tigers back into where we live. And it was a blessing because we heard that the Marines, some Marine unit was pushing through there looking for a sniper. Some intel looking for a sniper. And I guess they cleared that building and found that guy. From what I hear from my higher up, they found him. I mean, he wasn't living, but so.
Was that your first engagement?
Was Blackwater? Yeah.
What went on through your head afterwards? Anything you?
No, I don't know. It felt like too perfect. Like, what do you mean you found him? Like it's because you still have that thing, like the Army thing. Like, did I do the right thing? Anybody else get hit? Am I getting in trouble? What the fuck is going on here? I don't have many details of what he was shooting at me or why the fuck was he missing? You know what I mean? That's another thing over there, man. So many times with whether it was indirect fire or, you know, direct fire or something, these guys fucked up so many times. It's like, I know a lot of U.S. soldiers died. A lot of people I know died. Not a lot, but people I know died. And, you know, they fucked up a lot. I don't know if that's God, if that's how fucking stupid they were or what, but we were, even the military, we were all reactive. I mean, even after 2004, we were fucking completely reactive, which was just unsatisfactory. They miss a lot. I don't know. Whether it was EFPs or indirect fire. We had indirect fire on the camp. I can tell you some stuff about that. But that was my first engagement. And then I went on leave. Like I said, I'm backtracking. But I went on leave, and I'm not sure how long after that was. But then I got the call and pulled in the Bass Pro parking lot. My buddy, pretty much a Spartan warrior, called me crying. So I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? And it, you know, I guess he knew a lot more guys than I did. But he knew a lot of them guys. And I think he was on air before me, so he really knew them guys. And I missed that fight, man. I hate that I missed that. Selfishly, I hate that. Because it's not for the reason of the guys, like, because it already happened, and I couldn't have saved him, and I couldn't have killed more than the dude gunning for me. He was fucking shit hot squared away, too. Or he was shit hot squared away. And I just wanted to be there. Like,
Yeah.
like I would think anybody would want to be. It's like you missed a football game. But that January 23rd deal was a big deal for Blackwater. It was a bad, sad deal. Lose a helicopter and 4 guys and lose a gunner on another one. But there was a lot of enemy dead on that deal. That's what we won. So people don't like to hear. You hear it, U.S. soldiers dead, or this guy's dead, or this guy's dead. With Americans, there's always a lot more enemy dead. Politics aside, we win. I don't know. But I came back and then pretty much immediately went to Blackwater Air, which is a little bit more of a elite deal or whatever, I guess, because there was less guys. Is that what that means? But it would have been cooler if I stayed in Baghdad and maybe got on a Little Bird or something like that. But they were taking volunteers to go to Nasiriyah, and I'm the newest guy. I'm like, hey, I'll go. So I left a lot of friends when I did that, and CAT was my passion then. I was a truck commander at that point. I wasn't a gunner. And I went down south with 6 gunners and 9 pilots, which was fucking bullshit, because the 6 gunners got 3 birds, 6 gunners. That means no days off. But you got 2 pilots that got days off. And that was just nonstop missions, Basra, back to Baghdad. And by missions, I mean some of these missions were absolute bullshit. We were supporting another company, which wasn't bullshit. We flew some high-level generals around. Like I said before, flew some people to city, the oldest civilization. I don't know what for. We flew back to Baghdad a lot for supply runs of different things, which we didn't know until we got there, and we're running missions like that, 08 was it may be, like I said, there's a God. I go to Nasiriyah and Baghdad starts getting hit. I mean, we went from like 6 to 9 rockets or mortars a day into the green zone in Baghdad. And sometime in 08, it was like 100 rockets, 160. I mean, tough, hardcore dudes, just fucking big eyes and helmets on and shit, coming up to the aircraft. I'm like, what are you doing, dude? Why are you getting your helmet on? Dude, let's go to the embassy now. Sleeping at the embassy, hard structure. Crazy. I may be wrong, but I think it was Al Sadr City, and Al Sadr was like a big push for them. They were pushing a lot of indirect fire, and then, but people always talk about Blackwater Air. That was crazy. And like some soldier wrote some kind of a little book or some story about the rock stars of Baghdad, these Blackwater guys cruising around, flipping people off and all that. And it wasn't, I love CAT. I love being on the ground. We flew around a lot, and it was cool being in the hanging outside of the helicopter and all that kind of stuff, but it was mostly boredom. I was half asleep half the time. There's a lot of swamps in Iraq too, man. I'm a hunter, and we saw the biggest hog you've ever seen. You could see their cutters from the aircraft flying over. Just hogs just jumping up and running through these swamps with water kicking up. I wanted to get one of them so bad with the saw and send it into like Field and Stream or something. One guy did.
Really?
Yeah, I heard that he did, and he brought it back to the chow hall to be cooked, and they made him dump it somewhere.
Yeah, I was going to ask. So that's
well, I'm going to tell you, a hog is good anywhere you kill it. Doesn't matter what it's eating, what it's doing. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard of that with some of all of the wild hog eradications and everything they're trying to do all over the place, and people talk about it, cooking them up and enjoying them, especially the younger ones.
Oh yeah, the little ones I think are better. I killed a couple big ones in Oklahoma, or one big one in Oklahoma, and I killed a bunch of little ones. The little ones are good eating, and the big ones are supposed to be like ground up for like breakfast sausage and stuff like that. But,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ever done a traditional over the fire pig roast?
I cooked a goat in Afghanistan on ATA. I worked for a different company after Blackwater for a year. My last year contracting at all in Afghanistan. We haven't even got to Afghanistan, but I cooked a goat like Greek style, like spit roasted.
Yeah.
It was good. Goat's good. People aren't used to hearing that, but
nope.
It's good.
Not on here. That's crazy.
Talk to an Indian or Arab fella. They're good.
Do you have anybody you took a liking to, like maybe more like an influential person or anything like that while you're in Blackwater?
Like my friends there? What do you mean?
Yeah, I don't know. Anybody that seemed to like, I don't know, mentor or someone that maybe took you under your wing, or someone that just respected more than the average guy or anything?
Yeah. My truck commander in Baghdad, and a lot of guys that weren't above me that worked alongside me. That was a weird thing about Blackwater. You be on a counter assault team vehicle, and your driver would be a CAG guy, and truck commander would be a ranger, and your left rear would be a Marine recon guy, and your right rear would be a Navy SEAL, and you'd be up gunning, watching them all. And a lot of these guys were older. I mean, they had 20 years in. So you had 50 years of experience on the truck.
Wow.
But you realize other things when you get into that stuff too is you think every Navy SEAL or every Green Beret or every recon guy or every Ranger is just a shit hot bad motherfucker. It's not. I mean, there's some shit bags everywhere. I met a lot of good guys though. Don't focus on the shit bag stuff I'm saying, but I don't know. You get kind of narrowed into what you used to do, and as a grunt, in the infantry, you're stuck in it all the time. I'd gravitated to Ranger guys and infantry guys and Marine infantry guys. I don't know if it was because you were always stuck in it and sitting in a frozen foxhole or for long periods of time. Didn't matter. That high priority mission stuff, or I took this high priority target of the Ace of Spades or whoever in Baghdad. I don't care. I like the guys that we're used to being out for 12 months at a time, and
right.
Staying out with shitty equipment, and the bitching's okay. If the bitching stops, there's something wrong. There's a lot of truth to that, I think.
Yeah.
But I learned a lot from a lot of guys. It took a lot of, of course, in the 82nd, I didn't work in, small unit tactics, like all these, special operations guys and stuff, but, kind of I don't know how to explain it. Just I don't know how to explain that. I met a lot of good guys and a lot of bad guys, just like I did in the Army, People think Blackwater's all like a bunch of, where you got the left saying everybody's just a fucking killer, war profiteer, bunch of bullshit. These guys are decorated. I mean, there's a lot of, they're all veterans. Back in the day, they all been to war, all Marines and infantry and special operations, and, there's bad people in the military too. Throw water bottles when they don't need to, or shoot pin flares at people they don't need to, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
We'll see in our realm too, obviously, on the state side. But they tend to find their way to phase out, or
once people got an opinion of something, organization, it's done.
Yeah. So, what was that like? Obviously things became highly televised at one point, and the Blackwater name had a bit of a bad reputation.
Yeah, I was there during all that. You're talking about Nisor Square, and
yeah.
Was it September? It's either September 14th or September 12th. I can't remember, but whichever one it was, I had another shooting I was involved in 2 days before that incident on Route Irish. But I used to play video games with one of the guys that was involved in that Nisor Square deal. And I don't know them guys very well. And I don't know, I wasn't there. I don't know exactly what happened. I can speculate things that happened. I know how it started. I know there was fighting. I have brothers that were, at Ministry of whatever, when the V-bid went off, the vehicle-borne improvised explosive device went off, and the team in question was heading there to go help them. I know that they ran into contact before they got there from the vehicles that they were in. I know that for sure. And I know they were enemy killed right there where they were at. As far as innocent people they were killed, I don't know. Wars aren't fought on some distant battlefield where it's just them and us,
right.
And sometimes when you're in a firefight and you're shooting at an enemy and the enemy are shooting at you, and there's lulls in the fight when nothing's happened, and somebody walks out on a cell phone, or you've got this stuff built up in you, and some guy's poking out on the phone and looking at you. I don't, if it's a kid or a woman or whatever, you're like, the fuck are you doing here? Why are you still here? There's 4 people dead here, and there's bullets everywhere, and one of our trucks is blown up. The 240 barrel's bent straight up on one vehicle from whatever, and a car's blown up, not from 240 fire. That doesn't happen. The whole thing's in pieces. It was a V-bid. Somebody might get shot. Keep poking their head out. I don't know. I really don't know everything, because I've talked to some people I really love and trust and worked with that are like, yeah, they did too much, and I've talked to people that said they did what they did and they should have done what they did, and just whatever. You got 6 people shooting at you, and there's a kid standing in front of 6 people shooting at you. What are you going to do? I don't know. I don't think they should be in prison. But where are the bodies at? What happened? The FBI came out. We protected the FBI when they came back out 2 weeks later in a war zone to tape off an area. You don't think that something may have been tampered with? I have no idea. Vehicles were shot the hell up. There was a 240 machine gun barrel bent straight up from a vehicle, getting fucked up.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't think there's enough evidence for former Marines and 82nd guys and whatever else they were to be sitting in prison.
Yeah. Well, there's recent news. What is it? Is it pardon? Have you seen that? Like maybe Trump's looking at a pardon for one of them or something?
I don't know if he's looking at it. I've heard it's headed to his desk or something.
So maybe opening up a case or something in recent news. So.
In my opinion, I don't know them guys very well. A lot of it doesn't make sense to me because some of the key leaders that led that team, they're not in prison. What?
Interesting.
I don't know. Were the key leaders not able to say cease fire? I have no idea. And it is a touchy situation. These are private people blessed off by the United States government and State Department. And any rules of engagement were just gray.
Did that follow up with a ton of new rules and everything on rules of engagement?
I think unsaid it kind of did, but nothing changed. Blackwater was still there. Eventually, they changed their T-shirts to a different company. Blackwater's not around anymore. People think Blackwater changed their name or not. It's not around anymore. It's a whole different deal. It's not the same anymore. It's not as good. It's not as high quality individuals. Not to say they all were back then or anything like that. But that time period when East Shore Square happened, there was a team in contact every single day. It was just the height of the height. I mean, that brings me to another point in the war in general. It's like you think in the beginning of a war, the enemy would be at its strongest. Is that debatable? No, right? So you got the invasion. Minimal Americans died compared to 03, 04, 05, 06, 07. You think that would decrease?
Yeah.
Right? Over 1,000 U.S. soldiers died in 07. Like more than 10 times of the invasion. Like dangerous fighting, offensive, both sides. It doesn't make any sense. It's just all politics.
Is a lot of that due to the defensive nature and the unknowns of just working around? You don't know who's who in the mix. Was there a lot of confusion with that? Or
in my opinion, that war was won when Bush said it was won. That was, in 24 hours, we took out everything that flew or had armor on it. In 3 days, we took their major city. It was over. And then you had the insurgency. I got there 1 year later, like less than 1 year later, and I didn't get to fight a uniformed enemy that had any nuts, that had
right.
It was just a guy on a cell phone, peek out of the street, come back around, fire at us with an AK, run over here, change his clothes, get on the rooftop, shoot an RPG, and then walk across the street, smile at us with a newspaper. In the middle of the city full of kids and everything else. It only takes like 30 minutes, and the market's back in order, and people are selling bread and shit.
Wow.
And then you're pissed off.
Yeah.
Who's who, and you see these fighting age males smiling, looking at you, and they're like smirking at you and stuff, and you just want to do something and you can't.
Right.
Like I said, when East Shore Square happened, I had another shooting 2 days before that on Route Irish. I don't know if we got into that, but and I was getting ready to go on leave then, to the point where all my gear was turned in. I think it was like a day, 2 days before you turn in your shit down. You just kind of let it relax and then go home. And my truck commander, who used to be the driver, he was the driver during the January 23rd deal. He's like, dude, I want you to go on this with us. We're going to Baghdad International Airport. You have to run from Green Zone down Route Irish to their normal shit. And it wasn't, to me, it wasn't hot. It wasn't like dangerous. I'm like, why the fuck do you want me to go? I'm done. I'm playing Xbox or whatever it was. And so I went. So I had to borrow a helmet from some pogue. And then my buddy Jared, I borrowed his vest, and I'm skinny as fuck, and his vest is too big for me, and I couldn't even tighten it down enough. And he bought it in one of those stupid
Dragon skin?
It wasn't dragon skin. I knew you were going to say that. It wasn't dragon skin. That shit was good. Mm. But that shit got so hot, those little discs started falling out.
Really?
From what I heard. And it was heavy as shit. It wasn't anything crazy. It was just green and cool looking or something. Right. Probably a Predator vest or something. So I borrowed his shit and went. And we were heading out, and there's this one building on our left that they call the Skeleton Building then. I got pictures of it now, though. It's like all redone and shit. But it was one building where you actually like unlock the turret and point the 240 at it and like guide the 240, and whoever's in it can see you fucking scanning it with your shits going down. And it was taking some somebody, a congressman or somebody stupid to, I'm not saying they're stupid. It wasn't like a mission to go solve the world's problems. They were going to shop at the airport, literally. And I saw these guys up on the top right floor, and this building is it's a skeleton building. It's just no windows, no nothing, just the floor, like a construction of a building that hasn't had the walls up yet, just the structure of it, so you can see through it completely. And the top right, if you're looking at it, the top right of the building, there's these guys up there, and I don't know if I knew how many then going towards BIOP, but what was funny to me, not that they were in the building, because there's an Iraqi checkpoint under the building, which are our allies under it, and then there's constant traffic down Route Irish. I mean, there's M1 Abrams and Bradleys and all kinds of shit going up and down it, like they could stand a chance if they fired a rifle or anything from it. They can clack off some IEDs or some shit, but they were dressed in their shirts and their pants were the same color as the interior walls of the building. Exactly, like maroon, like they would blend in. But I saw them, 2 or 3 of them, and they were just sitting, watching, standing, walking. We go out, and I tell my truck commander, probably on the way to BIOP, and we get to BIOP, and I tell him about it, and I'm like, dude, I don't feel right about it. They're just dressed in the same, like trying to blend in with the interior walls of the building, and they're standing there just watching. He's like, keep an eye on the way back, and let me know, keep that 240 on them, and we're running Light Cat, which is one Humvee behind the motorcade, however many we have. And the Suburbans run a lot faster than the Humvee. And some of the drivers are stupid sometimes, or they just lose communications, don't realize how fast they're going. If they're going 60 or 65, they're going to lose us at 5 or 10 miles an hour at a time. And of course, they're fucking, by the time we're there for hours, by the time when we're coming back by, about the time we're coming up to that building or short of it, we're losing them. There's a bigger gap between us and them, which ended up being a blessing, I think. So I'm starting to unlock my turret and orient my 240 to the building. And they're, like I said, it felt like slow motion. There's a guy kneeling with an AK-47, just firing away. We're coming back towards the green zone. He's over here to my right, and I'm yelling out contact 3 o'clock. I think I said 3 o'clock. Probably just said contact. Maybe. And he doesn't see me because I'm way behind, like 3 of the same vehicle looking things start going by, and he thinks, okay, there's that whole package from my understanding, and he's just firing an AK. And I see 2 more guys in there, and they're moving around a lot, and I know one of them's got an RPG, and he's starting to like get set up or will do whatever he's doing. And there's enough gap in between us. I'm orienting my 240 to where they're at, yelling out contact, and I take it off safe and squeeze into the trigger, and I'm down on my sights for a minute. You think I'm just shit hot, I know what I'm doing, but I'm like trying to look down my sights, and I'm shooting from a car, from a vehicle, it's going 50, 55 miles an hour, and I squeeze in the trigger, and then I immediately get up from it. You can't really just look down the sight like that. And I can see my tracers going, and I can see this one guy. I'm just pretty much focused on the one guy shooting the small arms at the motorcade, and he looks at me from the other angle. He looks at me. Finally, he kind of looks over at me, and then like double takes and looks at me again, and starts to swing my way, and I'm already like fire hosing my tracers. I can see him every 5th round. I was like, and I just kind of get up and just kind of move it towards him, and I just start laying rounds into there as we're going by. And I'm pretty sure my truck commander's yelling at, to calling the contact up to hire, and I don't let off the trigger. I'm just shooting into that box of that room until I get to a point where I can't see them, and I'm like in the lower part of the road, so I'm shooting up into a building and I can't see them anymore because I'm lower. So I don't know if subconsciously or if I just accidentally I start shooting and I see the ceiling of the room and I can see some of the rounds coming, at least the tracer rounds coming, hitting the ceiling and coming down into the room, and not knowing if that's doing anything or not. But we get to a point where we're caught up in traffic. We can't move anywhere. And I'm just fucking billboard in my way, this huge billboard for a phone company or something. And I have enough awareness about me to know that there's an Iraqi checkpoint below. I don't know if they're going to start shooting at me because we don't look exactly like a military motorcade. We're different. And I don't know how long we're going to be able to move, or if they're going to shoot through that same billboard and hit me, and I'm looking all around me, seeing if grass is coming up or whatever. My right rear, which I didn't know at the time, but a really good friend of mine, he had cracked the window with a saw, and he was engaging as well. He had a malfunction and had to fucking fix all that, obviously, right then. But it felt like we were caught up in traffic forever. It caught up long enough. I started shooting through the billboard where I thought they would be, hoping that I wasn't too low or whatever to fuck with the IPs down there. And I can remember before, like in the middle or before that or something, I can remember like I said, like M1 Abrams going the opposite direction and shit. Thinking, are they going to engage? Are they going to engage me? What's going on? But we finally get moved. Well, no, we get stopped. I'm shooting, and I stop shooting to see how many rounds I got left. And I open the feed tray cover real quick. I have 2 rounds left on the belt. So we got 200 rounds in a can. So I just sweep them off, and there's another can right next to it in the mount. And I reload. So I know I shot 198 rounds into there. I guess if it's exactly 200 rounds, but and then we get moving again. But it turns out I got an award for that from Blackwater, but I don't think I would have. But I don't know why I'm laughing. Behind this building it's written in the citation. A certain special operations unit was behind the building, and they were throwing up BS-17 panel. You know what that is? Mm-hmm. Not just like orange panels and shit, because they were getting all the ricochets from the ceiling coming in on the other side of the building. Hitting, I don't know if it's hitting their trucks or coming around them. But at some point, if they're throwing up BS-17 panels, they knew it was like friendly fire or something. But so they knew what was going on. They knew it was a coalition force or a private company in their best interest or whatever. So they had went up after we left or while we were leaving and cleared that. I don't know if they talked to the IPs before, but they went up and finally got to where those guys were and found them up there. But the funny thing was
that the same or a separate incident from the one you were talking about earlier?
This is separate.
Wow. So just very similar situation in some ways.
Yeah. And what's funny is in the band, we were supposed to go, a friend of mine knew that some of them guys in that unit. That's not how we found out about this. They had coordinated with our base and figured this out. But we were supposed to go play in the band over at their compound.
Did that get next?
I didn't get to go because I was on a cat and I wasn't allowed to leave the camp for some reason, but they went. Anyway, they had they saw it. There was 3 guys dead up there, and whether from me or my buddy. But yeah, it worked out. I don't know what they were thinking. They found 6 multiple RPG rounds and RPG launcher, and I think it was just one AK-47 that guy was shooting. You think about how dumb that is. Like, Route Irish, there's just constant coalition traffic on there. Like I said, Abrams and Bradleys. And
Right.
It's like, what are they? I don't know. But that was 2 days before Nisor Square thing. Right before we got in the checkpoint, a TST team, I don't know if it was the same team, but they heard what had happened and they were on their way out to help. So I'm here coming in, up in the turret, you can see everything. And they're double turrets, 2 gunners in each vehicle. Most of them had 2, I think. And they had radio contact, obviously, but I think I was just fucking amped up. I'm like, no, don't go. It's like, RPG, don't go. And I want to say they just busted you and came back, but yeah.
You said you got awarded for that with Blackwater?
Yeah,
That's where those come from.
that's where I got that from. Yeah. So, yep.
I love the just straight business aspect of that.
Killed a lot of coyotes with that thing. For sure. A couple deer, but
Rocking the Hogue grip, huh?
I put the grip on there, I think. Or the tape.
The tape.
To be cool or whatever.
To be cool.
I actually had it all wrapped up for predator hunting.
Yeah.
I had a thermal scope on it. One of the cheaper ends of those. But yeah.
Is that the one you had like the little battery pack thing for and everything you're showing me?
Battery pack?
I was thinking you had like a battery pack or something that like had taped to the stock or plugged in. I may be mixing stories with somebody else.
Probably, maybe. No. It had its own, like this stupid, like the CR123s in there or whatever. But yeah, I've killed a lot of stuff with that. And I got my magazine back from you.
Yeah.
I've been single loading to kill coyotes with that.
Got a mag now.
Yeah.
Couldn't buy another mag?
I'm irresponsible. I just don't do it.
What kind of rifle is that too?
22 Magnum. Kill some coyotes with that.
Well, don't forget it.
Yeah.
It'll be another year and a half before you get it if you miss it tonight.
That's pretty much Iraq for you, I guess.
Yeah. You ever meet the Prince while you're over? Or with the company?
Eric Prince.
Yeah.
One time, he came over and talked to us. This was before I hate that Nisor Square thing happened. Everything was going great. Whatever happened, we were doing a great job. We never had a client with a scratch on them. We lost a lot of guys, but it was very, very effective, very cost effective, very, gave a lot of guys really good jobs and effective. Everybody used way more discretion than people think they did, Not any less than any military unit, I don't think.
Right. No, it's easy to judge on that, man. Look at law enforcement today and same thing.
We had a lot more free reign. We could, keep people farther away from us if we wanted to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's just per the State Department. They didn't want to die. So we were protecting them. We could throw water bottles at cars and break their windows out. I mean, get away from me. I don't know who you are, There were some people that abused that a little bit, Not as much as anybody thinks, not as much as I've seen in the military, I'm not saying the military is bad. That's not what I'm getting at. It's war.
Yeah.
Everybody's got their opinions. Fuck their opinions. Go there and tell me how many hands they can have tied behind their back and still be effective.
Yeah.
Figure that out.
That's a fair assessment.
It'd be great if it was, I guess, the Revolutionary War and you're just standing lined up shooting at each other and everybody's cleared out of the battlefield. This is not like that.
Right.
It's not.
Not the furthest thing from that.
When you're getting shot at from a building and you're in the greatest military the world has ever known and you got the people you love the most with you, you want to go from floor to floor and find that guy, or you want to just demolish the building? What do you want to do? What would you do if nobody cared? What would you do? What would you do? Let me get this Apache over here and just, not for lack of care of who's in the building, but I just know the people standing to my left or right better,
Yeah.
Or why is that so hard to comprehend for some people? I don't know. Because they're not there, I guess. I don't remember one time I was getting shot at down Haifa Street. People know. It's kind of a bitch moment for me. I was gunning and driving down Haifa Street. We shouldn't have been going this way, and we needed to turn around and come this way, and it was just like busy everywhere. And then we make this left down Haifa. It was a bad time to be on Haifa Street. I didn't know anything about it, but I think some people would know Haifa. Don't go down Haifa. But big, tall apartment buildings and things. And it was just like busy, busy, busy. And then you make this left, and it's like, there's nobody there. I'm like, fuck, what the hell is this? And then I hear, bow, 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 bow. And we're the only truck, just Fast Cat. And obviously you flinch, and then you look where it's coming from. And by the time I flinched and looked, I was getting shot at from the right. And then I flinched and looked right, and I'm getting shot at from the left. And it was like over and over down this gauntlet. And then we had to turn around and come back, and it was the same team, the same thing back. I never felt like a bitch so much coming back down. It was like boom, oh, boom, oh. Not a hole in the truck, not a mark in the truck, and I don't know what. I never saw anybody.
Wow.
It's a wimp moment.
You ever want to go back?
Where?
Getting back involved in the private side, or?
Yeah, I do. I liked it a lot. I liked the bullshitting with friends, and most of the time nothing was going on. I mean, nobody likes it to go on. I mean, it's for real. I don't know. I couldn't imagine going back to Iraq, I guess. I really don't even know what the fuck is going on there now. I have no idea. Nobody gives a shit, it seems like. There's nothing. I remember seeing cities that we were holding in the army over there, and Jalula and Sadia, these no-name cities on the Iranian border, and I remember seeing that these insurgents had taken them, and I was like, well, fuck all this shit. I mean, it's all politics now. You can't win that.
Right.
Yeah, I always want to go back. My kids, I don't want to go back because of my kids and my wife and everything else. And not from the danger. I think I'll always be all right. I just feel like I always would be all right. But just being gone, you miss little things. Even if I'm only going to be gone a month or 60 days or whatever, a lot happens in those amount of days with the 3-year-old or 9-year-old. A lot. And you know that from being home, every day. Like my youngest daughter will do something just in a couple seconds that'll just blow your mind or just make you laugh. And that kind of stuff, But yeah, I always want to go back. I probably will be going back. I'm trying to. Afghanistan. Yeah. I was in Baghdad for 5 years, Iraq for 5 years, Baghdad most of the time, and I was in Afghanistan for 4 years right after that. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12.
You did some work in the hurricane stuff too, right? One of the islands down south?
Puerto Rico, yeah.
Yeah.
I went down and did some security work. There wasn't that much need for security. There was a lot of guys that went down there. I ended up running into the guys I work with overseas. Everybody had a different client that they were protecting, and the guy was a cool dude. We ended up just kind of working together. There was no need for protection from crime or anything like that. There's some crime there. I did get carjacked there.
What?
Yeah.
Seriously?
I did.
Like on the job?
No. The 1 week my wife came down, I got carjacked with my wife and her friend. Walking back from the beach, had my shoes in my hand, the stuff I needed in the Jeep.
Ooh.
And they surrounded the Jeep.
Were they armed?
Yeah. There wasn't anything I could do.
Oh.
Unless I banked on them not doing anything, and I had my wife with me and we were drinking and stuff. So it was like 50 yards from the house I was renting. So I'm like, here's the keys. Get out of the car, girls. Let them take it. left the phone in there, tracked the car to a place in Bayamon, went down there, planned on going into these projects, and then talked to these cops and like, no, we don't go into these projects unless we have 15 special police. I'm like, all right. We got the Jeep back and stuff. But yeah, I went down there. I was only going to be down there a few months or a month or 2 months, and all the security guys gradually went home, and I ended up staying, helping with the guy I was protecting, run this program, refueling generators and doing maintenance on generators all over the island. We had like 60 guys, Puerto Ricans working for him, and ended up helping run that program until he left, and I ran it for a couple more weeks before that program was over, and then I formed my own company and got a small contract and put some more Puerto Ricans to work down there. Great people down there, man. Hard working, intimidatingly sharp people. Got some lifelong friends out of it, and put some more people to work, and like 16 guys, made some money, and then tried to get a bigger contract and ended up getting hosed on that deal. But it was a cut through. That disaster work is just, there's some, the worst of the worst work doing that kind of stuff. It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a good experience. I love Puerto Rico. But yeah, that was the last. I've been home over a year from that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What's the goal? What's the end game?
I don't know. After Iraq, I went to Afghanistan for 4 years with EW and Academy and U.S. Training Center, whatever they want to call it. Czechs always said Blackwater, but over there was a lot different than Baghdad. There's a lot more controlled. There wasn't any fighting really. Indirect fire and stuff like that. But I was on the ambassador's detail. I was advanced team for the ambassador's detail. I was a shift leader for the tactical support team. I guess they called it over there. I worked at the Tactical Operations Center. And then my last year I worked for a different company and on an anti-terrorism assistance gig. And we trained President Karzai's close protection and the vice president's protection details.
Were those air quotes?
Yeah. Vice presidents. I don't even know how many there were. I'm trying to think if I can say what the organization was. I don't know if I can or not, but it was
you can leave that out.
It wasn't that cool. It was just the most basic training you can imagine. I mean, we started out these guys telling them where the trigger was on a gun, and then all the way into like advanced SWAT team stuff, counter surveillance, and I taught the counter assault team. Their TOC operations there. What else? I mean, we taught basic stuff. I mean, 2-man bounding drills. We taught room entry. I mean, we got these guys really good. We did all the sim round stuff, protection of national leaders course is like the main course we did. It was the only resident program for the anti-terrorism stuff. And in the beginning, before I was there, this organization was Karzai's detail. They protected him directly. It was supposed to be about an 8-year program. It was kind of an exit strategy. We were training the trainer.
Right.
We trained them fully out from here's a trigger to advanced stuff. Advanced as they let us advance. And then we trained all those key people to train the trainers. So an exit strategy where we could leave and they could self-sustain. I think it's still going on.
Yeah. Wow.
But
you looking at possibly going back? Do you plan on staying around here? Like what are you gonna do with?
Well, I've been working with my furniture and lighting business now, and I like it a lot. doing antler chandeliers, and I don't know how I got into that, but woodworking, big live edge tables, single slab, like walnut stuff and rare wood stuff, and I've done quite a bit of stuff. Mostly I work alone. I got my real estate license. I've done a little bit of real estate, and that's tough to get into. It's tough to get a start doing that.
Yeah.
I'm not much of a salesman, so you got to be, that kind of a deal. I think I'm going to do some more contracting. But, yeah. Not so many long rotations, I don't think, but.
Well, they sound like they keep getting shorter and shorter. Hearing those 60-60s, 60-45s and stuff like that. A lot of guys are getting stuff for their back. Actually, It seems like a lot of guys are traveling home too often. It's driving them insane, but I don't know. That short aspect sounds nice to me.
From 06 to 2011, I was doing 90-30s pretty much all the time.
Right.
So
seemed very standard at that time.
Last year I was doing 90-90s with ATA.
Yeah.
And that was good. I wanted to stay longer, actually. I didn't want to be gone so long so I could make some more money.
Right.
Stay sustained in the training and, stay in front of my interpreters and stuff like that. Work with some good guys over there, some good Afghans. I have some really good friends over there, which was a good transition. You get to fighting in a war and stuff, and you're like, oh, I don't like Muslims or this and that.
Right.
You get to know a lot of them, and you love them, you like them, you die for them, despite your differences and religious beliefs or whatever. But, yeah, but there's not a lot of, it's not like it used to be. Mission wise, I don't think. I think there's a lot of good contracts out of there, and I didn't come from a special operations background, so a lot of them tier 1, like if you're a Green Beret or Navy SEAL or something, there's probably some cool contracts out there, but if you're airborne infantry, it doesn't matter how much contracting you've done. 9 years of contracting, you can't get into some of that.
Is it still you're still an airborne guy at that point then?
What?
Like you put in 9 years of contracting and that doesn't raise the bar or something?
No, it never does.
Dang.
No.
That's wild. You got any advice for anybody wanting to get into it? Guys getting out, looking for other work?
Go to war in the infantry. Do 5 years as a ranger and go special operations in some sort of way or another. I wish I would have done that.
Yeah.
I got out. When I got out from Korea, I wish I had just stayed in and did that. I was going through pre-ranger. I was getting ready to go through pre-ranger in the 82nd Airborne. They were picking a couple guys every few months or couple months, and then the trade towers got hit. And then I got the pursegram saying I'm going to Korea. I could have stayed in. I could have said, I want to do this or that, but I want to go out and run the streets and drink and have fun. that was the main thing. In the infantry, it was different. You were always like segregated off. You're not around women, nothing. It was like, especially in Korea, it was like you're a prisoner. It was kind of weird. I don't know how to explain it. But yeah, that would be my advice is if you want a contract, go in the military, do your time, do a tour, find a war, go fight it. I guess. I don't know.
That works well.
I don't know. I'm not the one to give advice, I don't think.
No worries. Well, it's probably about that time. You're going to have to roll out of here, aren't you?
Sure. Yeah, it's 11.
Yeah. Dude, it's always a pleasure, man. Thanks for coming in. I appreciate it.
I'm not the best spokesman, but I hope I didn't miss anything or said everything right.
No, I'm sure it's good. Good for a lot of guys to listen to. And I got one more thing I need you to do.
What is that?
1 second. I'll be right back because I don't think I'm prepared. There's a marker. Need you to sign at their table and put EP1 somewhere next to it so everybody knows you're episode 1. And if they look at a signature and it looks interesting, they know which episode to go to when they're watching.
Sign it and put
wherever
EP1.
you want. Yeah, EP1, sign it, and whatever you want.
Okay. Like a signature, or you want it legible?
It's up to you, man. They're going to find you off EP1.
Oh.
There it is. Got some lipstick if you want to add a little more to it. Again, thanks, brother.
No problem.
Always good seeing you.
I'd want to see that. Like, I guess, how does that work? What do you do?
It's going to go on the internet, on the almighty interwebs. And
I'm just full out.
yeah,
I hope
just
I didn't
full
say
out.
anything weird.
No, you probably said a lot of weird stuff. Probably said way too much. Got a lot to worry about.
I guess not. I'm not. Obviously, more than likely, someone. You know what the funny thing was? Let's turn that off. Is that off?
It's about to be.
I'm way too.
Guys, I guess that camera went out. Again, thanks for watching. Make sure you like, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit the little bell icon to the far right. That way you get notifications when we post. This is going to be a new part of the Armorer's Fix. It's the Armorer's Fix, or TAF podcasts. So we'll be bringing on many, many more guests. Again, thank you, Tommy. It's awesome having you on today. And we're going to shut these cameras off and continue the stuff you guys can't hear. Anything you want to say? Last words? This is your guy right here.
That's the camera?
That's the guy.
The whole time that was it? What's this one here you talking
That's me. And then there's this one over here.
Is that one on too?
Yeah, it has a little shut-off problem tonight. Technical difficulties for night number 1, but it's now live.
Huh.
So, yeah.
Oh, shit. All right.
Final words?
There I was. No shit.
Perfect, man.